sing. Are you ready?
Are you ready? Are you really ready? Hello and welcome. I am indeed the Texorcist, Shane Moore. I'll be here with you for the next 2 hours for a very informative and fascinating episode tonight. We'll be talking about the world of dreams. Not just the world of dreams, but seemingly the universe of dreams. Dreams are very mysterious, very, powerful, sometimes frightening, and they seemingly make no sense. Everything appears meaningless, or it appears haphazard, it appears disorganized. But this is not the case. Truth is appearances can be deceiving. So when you have that dream or you have that, you wake up and you remember part of it, but not all of it. Maybe the reason that you don't remember all of your dreams is because you're not supposed to. Maybe the small amount that you do remember is what you're meant to remember. Dreams are the language of the subconscious mind. And how does the subconscious mind, what is the language of the subconscious mind? It's symbolism. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks more in symbolism. And that can be taken many ways, but one thing about it is it must be deciphered to be understood. It can't be taken at face value. And I'll get into that much, much more. The dream language is a language that we would all benefit from learning to quote-unquote read. But the real question is, the question that really, really fascinates me is, do some dreams originate beyond the subconscious? And if so, where do they originate from? Where do they come from? If it's beyond our own mind, our own subconscious, where do they come from? I'll discuss this and much more in this episode of the Texorcist Live. I'm going to take a short break and allow listeners who want to join our live chat to do so. And I will be back in 3 minutes. So hang tight and don't go anywhere, and get ready for a very, very exciting show.
Feel the music, the rhythm, a heart on a mission. Can't fight the feeling, and I'm not denying it, no. I'm here to lose all control. Got emotions, they all wanna go dance. Sweat in an ocean, and I'm not denying it, no. I'm here to lose all control. First time on the floor, but I'm into it. Nervous from my knees to my fingertips. I might have a broken heart, but I won't hold back tonight. Lights go
And I am back. Hey, Mom, glad you're here. And one's a lonely number, and you just got here, and you're my mom, so that's great. This is going to be a great show. Anyway, thanks for being here, and we'll just wait for just a few minutes for the others to show up. But anyway, we'll be talking about dreams tonight. Dreams, precognition, deja vu, and where these things originate from, where they come from, and get listeners' views on where they come from. And I also have some exciting news to share in just a few minutes. So anyway, going to certainly it's going to be an informative show. And okay, all right, no problem. But anyway, the fact is dreams. What are dreams? There's been many movies. There's been many books. There's been many actual. There's been cities. There's been structures. There have been empires that have been built upon dreams. I mean, someone had a dream, and I'm not talking about someone had a dream such as a mission. They literally had a dream where they saw a certain thing, or they were given a certain idea. They were given a vision. And that's what dreams, when you get right down to it, what are dreams? They are visions. Now, visions such as the prophets and people like that had, the holy men and women of old, and even now, the visions they had were much more in order. They were much more organized, but still they were somewhat out of place. I guess the best definition of a prophet, a true prophet, or seer, or someone that can see beyond the veil, is not someone that so much has a supernatural power. It's just a power that they understand. It's a natural power that they understand. And what sets them apart from most people is that they're able to read that language. They're able to decipher what these symbols, what these seemingly meaningless things. I mean, you might see you might see a pink zebra crossing the road with a with an empty school bus, and have a cow on top of it. I mean, I'm just right off the top of my head, and you're thinking, oh, this is crazy, completely crazy. But in the you're the mommercist, yeah. But in the truth is that even something as weird and crazy as it may appear, if you're seeing that, there's a reason you're seeing that. And it's your subconscious mind, most of the time, or some of the time, the majority of the time, that's trying to tell you something. And that's the only way that it can tell you, or that's the way it chooses to tell you. It would be nice if if it was all written out in English, nicely typed out, to where we could read it and just understand it. But that's not the case. And that's rarely the case, if ever. How many of you listening, I see there's 4 people listening, how many of you experience things like that? You see things like that. The language is spoken to you, the language of symbolism, the language of the subconscious mind. And you're just asking yourself, maybe frustrated, why can't it just be plain? Well, I don't know. I really don't. I've asked myself the same question. But one thing is that, as with everything else, as far as our journey, our spiritual journey, our journey in life, which is a spiritual journey, we often make the mistake of thinking that life is a physical journey. No, we're spirits having a bodily experience. So it is spiritual. It all has to do with refining and strengthening and making your spirit evolve, grow. And so if you were given a neatly typed out outline, if you were given the answers, if you were told what everything is, if the answers were all given to you, just boom, 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 you think that would be nice. You think that would be wonderful. Why can't I just have the answers? Why can't I just have the answer? The reason is because, and remember this, and write it down, because this will help you so much if you remember this. The growth, the knowledge is not in the answer. The power is not in the answer. The power in your growth is in the question. And is it just by coincidence that the word question begins with quest? What is a quest? You're searching for something. Yes. That's where the growth comes from. That's where the power comes from. It doesn't come from the answer. The answer is just confirming what you have already learned, what you already know. From what? From the quest, from searching. And what I'm saying is that questions tell us more than answers ever do. Again, the power and growth are not found in the answer. It's found in the quest for the answer. The answer is just, it's just the icing on the cake. When you get the answer, when you know the answer, that's, being on the mountaintop. What's that? Well, it's, you can sit back and you can rest because you've reached the mountaintop. But how did you get to the mountaintop? By searching. How did you get to the answer? By searching. Say I've been on this quest with you for 50 years. That's right. That is right. And I'm only 30, so I'm kidding. I'm happy to be 50. I wouldn't trade it to be 25 again for anything. So I don't want to do that again. But so answers tell us more than questions ever do. So that's why that when you dream and you see these seemingly meaningless things, and the timeline, the event, it would be nice if everything was linear and it all happened in the linear time process where you have, past, present, future. But that doesn't. You may have the future, you may have the past, and then the present. I mean, it's just completely, it doesn't make sense to our rational mind. But there again, it is a different language. And as I've said before, language is everything. If you want to know the truth about any culture, about anything really, you have to know the language. You have to know how to read the language. Because if you don't know how to read the language, you're never going to understand or get close to recognizing when you have the answer. You may have the answer in front of you, but you can't see it because you don't know how to read it. And even if you know or you see it in front of you, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to know what you're reading, what you're processing. And that's the subconscious mind. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight. We'll also be talking about when some dreams, some visions, and when I say vision, I'm not talking about the false visions, the fake visions, where people they say that they did this or did that, and they kick back with Jesus, and trust me, there's some very, very popular, very, very successful televangelists and ministers and spiritual figures who they have some incredible, unbelievable, and sickening. Yes, sometimes dreams are warnings, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. Is sometimes dreams are telling you, be on guard. Maybe about a person, maybe about an event, maybe about somewhere that you're planning on going, but it doesn't come out and give you the details. It kind of just it rings the bell. It sets off a small alarm that does what? It gets your attention. And it's up to you to search and find out what that means. And if you don't, then if you don't heed the warning, or you don't, then it's not really, then it's really, well, what I'm saying is when you have a dream, or you have something that really makes you wonder, there's a reason why that is making you wonder. I mean, there's a reason why that's there, that got your attention, and that's and that reason is because, like I said, it's warning you, and so be Don't discount your dreams. Like, when you wake up and you think, wow, that was crazy, and you laugh about it and you just go on about your day. I mean, if it really, really got your attention, if it was a frightening dream, if it was a nightmare or something like that, that really shook you up, and it may not even be something that's bad. It could be something good also. There's been many women and who have dreamed that they were pregnant, or that they got pregnant, and they, lo and behold, what happened is they were really pregnant. I mean, or thereabout. They found out shortly after that they were pregnant. So it's something that is mysterious, but something that is very beneficial, and sometimes it can save your life looking into it. So anyway, I need to take another very short break, and I will be back in 3 minutes. So please just stay there and don't go anywhere, and I will be right back.
Leave your toothbrush next to the kitchen sink just to be kind. You'll be sleeping out on the hallway couch, at least for some time. You made up your mind and I'm torn apart. Still hope you would try to fix what is gone. Why can't we stay for the little things? Stay for the little things. Stay, fight for the little things, for every little reason we've got. I can hear you walking out the front door, stuck on the phone, while our bedroom is echoing empty and I'm all alone. You decided so fast and we never talked. Still wish you would fight for love that we lost. Why can't we stay for the little things? Stay for the little things. Stay, fight for the little things, for every little reason we've got. I wanna stay for the little things, stay for the little things. Stay, fight for the little things, for every little reason I've got. You made up your mind and I'm torn apart. Still hope you would try to fix it. Why can't we stay for the little things? Stay for the little things. Stay, fight for the little things, for every little reason we've got. I wanna stay for the little things, stay for the little things. Stay, fight for the little things, for every little reason I've got.
Okay, and I'm back. Thank you. So, dreams, the subconscious, the mysteries of the human mind, the complexities of the human mind. That's been something that has fascinated me and has just given me many, many hours of searching and researching. And my main thing, my main mission or quest is not so much to find out or learn about what is already known about the human mind. It's about what is unknown, what we don't know. And it seems like that it's endless. And I believe that we could go for eternity. I mean, infinity. It never ends as far as the possibilities, the complexities, the depth, and everything concerning our mind, the power of our minds. And not only do our dreams beneficial to us, but we may have a dream that for one reason or another, we may have a dream for someone else. We may be given a message by our subconscious, or is it? Does it originate from somewhere else? Maybe beyond our subconscious. But we're given a message for someone else. Why is that? Maybe because that person is in such danger, or that person needs to be given information so bad, and for one reason or another they won't accept it, or they can't accept it. Then that's when sometimes we find ourselves dreaming about someone, and these are the dreams where it's a little more clear. You know, it's not so disorganized. It's not so cryptic. It's not so much in the language of symbolism. It's a bit more clear, and the reason is because it's not for you. It's for you to convey that message to that person, which I believe is very, very wonderful. It's a powerful thing, because that's very comforting, because it tells me that we're being looked out for, we're being protected, or we're definitely being guarded. I guess you could say monitored. But so if we get into trouble, or we have problems that we can't handle, that there's someone that there's what you can call it God, you can call it the source, the creator. Who knows? I mean, maybe the programmer, the ultimate programmer would be a better term, a better title, because that's exactly what I believe has taken place. Is that when it says and God said, and God said, and God said, and it is written, it is written, it is written. I believe that is very much, you could take that as it being programmed. Now, does that take away from our free will? Does that take away from our choice? I don't believe so. But this is very shocking what I'm about to say, and it's very controversial. So just bear with me. But in my opinion, I believe that there is no real thing. Excuse me. That there is no such thing as free will, complete free will. Why is that? Because I believe that our freedom of choice, our free will, is only as free as we perceive it to be. What I mean by that is, I hate to tell you this, but your free will, your choice, in my opinion, and mine too, everyone's choice, your free will, is an illusion. It only exists within your perception of having free will, of having choice. So I believe that either the choices are made for us and we automatically accept them as being our own choices, or this is really getting out there, so just bear with me, or we're not here to make choices. We've already made our choices. We're just here now to understand why we made the choices we did. Boom. I mean, that's powerful. Is it possible? Of course. Anything's possible. So, what if... Hey, April. Glad you joined us. April, my mother, Shirley, April, she's a new member from my YouTube channel. So, Mom, April, my mother. So, anyway, so what if your choice, and please, I don't want to crush anyone tonight. I don't want you to say, oh my God, I'm not in control. But the truth is you're not in control. Control is an illusion. Matter of fact, the truth is for the most part, we're all out of control. If that makes sense. It's to some degree we are out of control. I mean, but again, the control that we believe that we have over our lives is from our perspective. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are actually in control. And if you think you're in control, hey Randy, glad you joined us. If you think you're in control, think again. I mean, look at, accidents happen, where different things take place that we make plans, and a lot of times, or sometimes, those plans are what? They're completely just crushed, just ended. I mean, yeah. To the point for me that I rarely make any plans anymore. I roll with the punches. I take it as it comes, because I can't stand to make plans and then have everything fall through and be disappointed. So I save myself that disappointment by not making plans and realizing that I'm really not in control. I'm I'm subject to outside events and circumstances and this and that that can take place, and my plans, as big and important as I think they are, outside of my own perspective, outside of my own beliefs, outside of the box, so to speak, in the whole larger picture, it's nothing more than a grain of sand on all the beaches of the world. You know, it's we tend to think that the world, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but we tend to think that the world, or the world around us, revolves around us. And that's just simply not the case. I've actually had people tell me how special they were. And they're like, okay, you know, I'm special. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. They're like, no, I really am. Okay, great. I'm happy for you. And like, well, do you know what I can do? Yes, you can talk a lot, and you can convince yourself by talking a lot about what you can do and about your abilities and this and that, because you're not trying to convince me, you're trying to convince yourself. You just want me to say something to confirm what you want to believe, and that's not going to happen. Not unless you're genuine. I give credit where credit's due, and if you know, someone comes up to me and they start telling me about dreams that they've had that have come true, and repeatedly, and they can prove it, then yeah, I'll yes, you certainly have, you know, gifts. You have abilities that and that's good. But someone that just talks about things, with me, don't tell me what you've done as far as the paranormal, or let's say precognition, or telepathy, or things like that. Don't tell me that you've done these things if you're the only witness to these things. Unless you have proof. And I'm not saying that everyone that has these experiences when they're alone are necessarily making it up. But when they're alone every time it happens, and there's no proof to back it up, and that's all they talk about, that's someone that may really have a problem. Now, the reason I said that is because some people are mentally ill, and they have delusions, they have hallucinations, some very, very well orchestrated, I guess you could say, well built, conceived, created. But does that mean that because they're quote unquote mentally ill, does that mean that they're, what they see, what they feel, what they hear should be discounted? Hey Elaine, glad you joined us. Does that mean that the person that's labeled as the schizophrenic, that what they see, what they hear, does that mean that it should be discounted, that it should, be, because it just doesn't exist, right? I mean, they're delusional, but it does exist. And people say, well, it doesn't exist as far as the world. Yes, it does. It exists in their world. And just because it's not real to you, that's something that has always bothered me, is when, someone says, well, I dreamed this dream and it was, and, then it happened exactly the way that I dreamed it. Or someone says that they were told something, or given a warning, or told something was going to happen, and it did happen. And there's people that automatically shoot these people down. I mean, it's like they take the ultra skeptical pistol and just pull the trigger, and it's like, okay, shut up. That's crazy. That's impossible, and just be quiet, No. It is possible. And just because someone has been labeled or diagnosed as being mentally ill does not mean that what they experience, what they see, what they hear, what they smell, taste, whatever senses that they pick up on these things with, it does not mean that it's not real. It just means that you're not experiencing it. You're not experiencing it. And that's something that those of you that may not know me that well, that's something that I've done for the past 27 years. Is I have dealt with people who have had very, very severe spiritual problems, or my view on that has changed over the years, and I believe that it is that when, and Elaine, just so you'll know, I'm not going to talk about this, but I am going to say this, that when someone says, used to when someone would say something about a demon, I would say, okay, this is an interdimensional entity that is separate from the person, that is afflicting the person and seeking to control that person completely. Now, I view it more as that person, either knowingly or unknowingly, their mind, and I'm not sure, I mean, this is just a theory, just my theory, their mind has knowingly or unknowingly created, let's say, an altar or something like that, like dissociative identity disorder, also known in the past as multiple personality disorder. In the same way that people that have DID and MPD, the same way that they create altars, who's to say that the quote unquote demons are not altars that the mind in some people have created that have gone rogue. Now I know that's really out there, but think about it. What if the human mind was so powerful, and it is, and that some people could access parts of their mind that they could actually create an alter. Okay, now what is an alter? Well, it's an alter ego. It's an alter personality of that person, created by that person, and ultimately sustained by that person. But my question is what if the yeah but what if that alter somehow became self-aware and basically says, you know what, I don't need this host anymore. I don't need this person to sustain me anymore. Because what is an alter? It is a personality, and so it's a personality that the person has created, and that from abuse, most of the time abuse or something very traumatic or has happened and taken place, and the mind has created the alter, and so that's an entirely different topic, entirely different episode that we can talk about. But what I'm trying to explain is how powerful your mind is. If your mind can create personalities, alters, if it can create that to such a degree that it's actually creating a personality, a person with their own likes, dislikes, their own beliefs, their own moral code. I mean, that's very, very powerful. So dreams that seemingly originate outside of our consciousness. Dreams that originate outside of our consciousness. How do we know that they originate outside of our consciousness? Because it's something that is completely foreign, something that is very it may make no sense to us, like completely no sense. But then we run into someone and there's that moment of deja vu, or there's that moment of the aha moment where you know by something that person says or something that person does. Hey, Sheila, glad you're here. Something that person does that alerts you that what you dreamed or what you saw, what you received in your dream was meant for that person. And if it was meant for that person, then where did that originate from? And how did it get to you, and why? I don't know. That's something to really look into. But right. When the subconscious, which I believe is takes in everything on some level, when it when it gets in sync, and as far as places and events, seemingly, well, it would be time travel. I mean, it's plain and simple. I mean, time travel. I've had experiences that would be beyond deja vu. I mean, really. And it's just like in 2013, my truck broke down. I was in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was like, way out in Texas. It's the summer, and it's like 100 degrees, and it's close to midnight. It is hot and humid. Oh, man. And lo and behold, my cell phone would not work. Couldn't call anybody. And so I started walking, and I walked about 15 miles maybe, and came to a major highway. Actually, it was the interstate. And still, there's nothing around. And I fell over a barricade. I mean, you have no idea how. I was soaked in sweat from head to toe. And I was so hot and so exhausted. And I fell over this, barricade and landed on the side of the interstate. Okay. Now, I was out. I had no idea. I remember falling, and I remember landing, but then I was out. Now a week prior to that, I was laying down and had this weird experience where I guess it was like a dream, but it was more like a very clear vision. There was nothing that was disorganized about this. In this dream, I say vision really, I was in a white room, completely surrounded, and there were these cabinets and everything, and there was a man that there were two men that were in front of me, and two doctors and a nurse, and they were the main doctor was telling me, he says, we can't find anyone in your cell phone to call. He says, you have no one to call. And that just kept just repeating. You have no one to call. You have no one to call. And that was creepy. And so I woke up, or I came out of that, and I thought, I think I'm going crazy, because that was really intense. And it was almost like I could audibly hear that you have no one, and it was just really, So a week later is when I fell over, truck broke down. I'm walking, and out of exhaustion and heat, I fall over a barricade and land right on the shoulder of the interstate, and wake up. And when I open my eyes, I was in that white surrounded room, but it was an ambulance, and it wasn't two male doctors, it was two male paramedics, and it wasn't a nurse, it was a female paramedic. And the doctor, or the paramedic, he was holding my cell phone, and he says, you have no one in your phone we can call. You have no one. He said, there's no one we can call for you. And he says, we've been through it. And he says, and you have no one to call. And I just sat back and grinned, and I'm like, I've been here. So that would have really frightened me if I hadn't already been there, but I'd been there. And even their faces, I had seen their faces a week prior to that. And why? I mean, I have no idea. But it certainly happened just like that. And talk about very strange. I mean, that was probably the clearest, the most direct experience that I've had as far as detail. And oh man, it was really crazy. And so, have those of you listening, have you had, instances like that have taken place where you dream something, or you maybe not that direct, or maybe even more detailed and direct, and then it happens. And this wasn't just like a few seconds of deja vu. This was more like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, that while I didn't remember everything, there was a lot that I remembered. I remembered more than I didn't. And I'm thinking, man, I mean, I know could probably tell them their names. I mean, if I remembered that much, I mean, I did remember their faces, and crazy. I mean, but how does that happen? How does that happen unless our consciousness does not originate within us? How does that happen unless our consciousness originates outside of us, and to some extent is and is not simultaneously a part of us? Okay? How does that happen? Very interesting. Sheila, you say, in 1976, I dreamed my brother died, detailed to the color of his casket. I do it often. There you go. And that happens a lot. A lot of people, they experience that, but what happens is they talk about it. They tell people about it. I was the same way, but then I learned not to, because people, they're not ready for it. So it's something that you learn, that there's certain people that you can share things with, but there's others that it's best not to say anything. And that's what a lot of people do, is they don't say anything. It's not that they don't experience it, but they just don't say anything about it. So, right, Sheila, you say I don't tell often. Elaine, you say I was adopted at 5 months old. I could not have remembered anything, but I described everything to my adopted mother in minute detail: what I wore, what the two men wore, what car I was delivered in, and who was there at the house. Wow. 5 months old. Well, that's impressive. Randy, you say, people thought I was crazy when I told them I was going to have a daughter with brown hair, blue, light eyes. Everyone was sure I was pregnant with a boy. Even my father-in-law kept telling me that he had dreams of me with two boys. There was no way I was going to have a little girl. I had dreams of her for years. She never said anything to me, just looked at me and would smile after dancing around in a field of tall grass. But I knew she was mine from the second I saw her. And for those of you listening, Randy did that. That wasn't just a dream. That was a premonition, because she did. She didn't have a little boy. She had a little girl. So, that's something that's, very comforting, promising, but also, unless you're, getting eaten by a T-Rex or something like that, like some of my dreams. I mean, it's like, it would be cool if that happened, if it was changed just a little bit, where I wasn't like consumed and digested by a T-Rex. But anyway, so if our dreams, well, absolutely, Sheila, and yeah, I mean, it's scary, but that's exactly what I was talking about. Is you people that you can talk to about things like that, and people that they're really not going to, it's not that they don't believe you per se. It's that they're not ready to accept it. They're not ready to believe it. And to some extent they can't. Just why? Because it scares them. Elaine, you say, when I was young, I dreamed that there was a portal in my room that led to a desert-like atmosphere, kind of like Mars, and we had flip phones. When you talk about, that's very interesting, because when you talk about the desert-like atmosphere, like Mars, was it like just like flat land with reddish brown sand, or very fine sand, and was there any trees, or was it just flat, completely flat, and nothing? Just curious. Randy say, I had a dream about a friend, and I just saw her and a group of people on a beach. I saw lights flashing and heard a boom like a gunshot or something. Everyone got scared and started to leave. I woke up and sent her a text asking if she was okay, and told her about my dream. She told me that they were at the beach watching fireworks, and someone showed up and started waving a gun around. There you go. Now, as far as Carl Jung's theory of the collective consciousness, in my opinion, the wireless internet, the worldwide web of connection, existed long before the World Wide Web was invented at CERN. What I'm saying is I believe that that's what CERN used as the blueprint. They used the wireless internet, the wireless World Wide Web of the collective consciousness. And when you think about it, what is the World Wide Web? It is an artificial collective consciousness. What is consciousness? Processing information, data that it's given, that it experiences. So, how about them apples? And when you think about it, what if try to view each computer, each cell phone, each device as like a neural synapses, or even things that make up the neural synapses in our brains, in that somehow affect our consciousness and as well as others. And when you look at a picture at a photo through an electron microscope of the neural synapses of the brain, and you look at a picture that the Hubble took, or takes, of the universe, they look very much alike. The stars are the synapses, and vice versa. As above, so below. And there's people that they talk about that, but I've never really heard anyone say, well, what about the World Wide Web? What about viewing each computer, each device, each tablet as the same thing? Well, if you connect those, it would be just like the electron photograph of the synapses and of the stars, the universe, galaxies, or whatever. So you have the very small, you have the small, and then you have the large, the micro and the macro, and then that in between. And it's becoming more and more clear to me that everything it's like the Russian dolls. Yes, Sheila, the word energy, just like we talked last night about the Great Pyramid and the knowledge that it holds and the power it holds. And the word pyramid comes from pyramidos, which means fire in the middle. Now, when you think about that, you're like, okay, fire in the middle, what's that? I mean, how does that apply to the Great Pyramid? Well, it really doesn't. The Great Pyramid, if you lay the human head on the back of its head in the Great Pyramid, if you transpose the human head according to scale, the king's chamber is where the pineal gland is located, and the queen's chamber is where the pituitary gland is located. So when it's not so much the pyramid being named that, it's what the pyramid symbolized, the fire in the middle. And what's in the middle of your brain? The pineal gland, which has often been called the third eye, which has been called the seat of the soul, and it is actually, the true name is the sella Texorcist, which means mercy seat, which is spoken of in the Bible as the covering of the Ark of the Covenant. And it goes so far as the king's coffer in the Great Pyramid is the exact dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant as given in the Bible. The Ark of the Covenant was 51 inches by 31 inches by 31 inches. King's coffer, the same dimensions. Now, the king's chamber is the exact dimensions described in the Bible of the Holy of Holies. So, all of you, that say that you're spiritual and that you are seeking truth, but you deny that was the resting place of the Ark of the Covenant, you're wrong. You're wrong. How can you explain that? How can you discount that? Just because it doesn't line up with the official record doesn't mean it's not true. It means the official record, there's something wrong with the official record. Truth is truth. And if it changes what you have traditionally accepted as truth, then so be it. Deal with it. But don't discount it. Don't reject it just because it doesn't follow the official story. Or better yet, explain to me how that's possible. Explain to me how that the Great Pyramid was constructed. And get this. If it was constructed at least 2,500 years ago, which many people believe that it's older than that, then if it is older than that, that's right. Many truths are hidden purposefully. You know this. That's right. Okay, consider this. If it was constructed much, 2,500 BC, then it was constructed long before Moses ever existed. Long before the Ark of the Covenant was even built. So you tell me how that it's possible that, we're talking that was long before Solomon's temple was even built. And the king's chamber is the same dimensions as the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple is the dimensions of it. Exactly the same. The king's coffer, as I said, the exact dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant. The Great Pyramid had those dimensions of the coffer and the king's chamber before the Ark of the Covenant or the temple even existed. Right? So I believe that what has happened is that out of fear that that there may be some kind of power status taken away from the Israelis or the Israelites. As far as that, I believe that it's been covered up. That's why that the Great Pyramid was sealed for so long. We're talking it was closed. It was closed for what? 1,000 years, right? A long time. And but what's really interesting is that the king's coffer, and you can Google it. Google the king's coffer, and you'll see that on one side of it, on one corner, it looks like that there's been maybe an explosion, but it looks more to me like that there's been a tremendous heat, and I mean tremendous, that the granite is not just broken, it is melted, if you ask me. It has been melted. Now, you and I both know that to melt granite, to melt rock, you have to have something along the lines of a maser. Not even a laser. We're talking something even more advanced. A maser to melt stone. So that's the king's coffer shows signs of that very thing, of literally being melted. The same thing is found in southwestern France in the mountains. And what's really, really eerie about that is that those mountains, and I'm not talking about just a megalith. I'm not talking about just a stone. I'm not even talking about something as massive as the Great Pyramid. I'm talking about a literal mountains And not just the peak. I mean, I'm talking about midway. There are signs, there are striations that are nothing less than welding beads, welding lines, or maser lines, where these mountains have somehow, and some of them are different structure of rock, so they've been somehow placed there on these mountains, these different mountains, and then melded, I guess you could say, since it's maser, welded or melded together. And you see it, you see the beads, you see where it has melted, you see where it has, where it has been connected. Now, why would someone do that? Well, maybe it's because that while the Great Pyramid and the seven, the seven wonders of the world were, and the Great Pyramid still is, very incredible, and it's just amazing. There was an eighth wonder of the world. It just wasn't known by all, and it's still there. And it has to do with these mountains that have seemingly been moved. Now, why would anyone or why would anything move mountains? To place them in strategic locations. And the truth is the painters, the artists during the Renaissance and even before that, they were painting, they were encoding a secret, a geometric pattern, a secret within their paintings, and it was telling the location of a large outdoor temple, an open temple, but nevertheless it was a temple. And when I say large, very large, and the points, it was a pentacle pointing up, 5-pointed star pointing up, and the mountain peaks are the points of that pentacle within an inch. Honestly, seriously, I mean, that's how well it was constructed. The Great Pyramid's base is like 13.5 acres. This outdoor temple in the shape, well, it's a pentacle, a 5-pointed star. That 5-pointed star, marked by mountain peaks, is 40 square miles. 40 square miles. Now, how this was discovered is by taking, when Cassini, very, very laboriously made his map made his maps and everything. The advent of real map making, I mean, to where, it was very, very detailed, or as detailed as it could be. When people began flying in planes and everything, they, from those paintings and from literature and legend, they knew where the location was, and they knew what to look for. So hopped in a plane, they fly around. I don't know, how long it took, but before you know it, they're like, whoa, there it is. 40 square miles. And the lines of the pentacle, where they cross, where the lines intersect, there are churches that are built on these points. But 40 square miles. So what this was, it was, they believe that it was in tribute to Venus, to the planet Venus, which its orbit is just that. It is a pentacle. It forms a 5-pointed star. And I could go I could go endlessly into that, because what you have is the angles of the pentacle. You have 108 degrees, and then you have 54 degrees, and so on, so on, so on. 108. There's 108 beads in the rosary. There's 108 beads in the mala, the Buddhist mala or whatever it's called. 108. It's just boom, boom, boom. What I'm saying is, why I mentioned that is because everything is connected. Everything's connected. Randy, you say to keep someone out or keep it in. The reason for moving mountains. No, because it's completely open. It is an open air. I guess you could call it cathedral, because it's an open air. There's no walls. There's no confining walls or any obstacles or anything that were put in place. Now, as far as the mountains, I think that if you had to move a mountain to keep something in, it could very well just go over the mountain or move the mountain itself. I think that it was that if that's in fact the case, and it seems to be, because there's a mountain in southwestern France in this area that it's actually an active volcano. It's not dormant, but it hasn't erupted. It's boils or whatever. I'm not sure about the terminology on that. But what's very strange about this mountain is that what's very strange about this mountain is that the geologists are very, very have so many questions about this mountain. And because the upper half of the mountain is or the upper half of the mountain is much older than the base. Now, and I'll say that again, the upper part of the mountain, and I'm not talking about a megalith, I'm talking about a mountain. We're talking a true mountain, not even the Great Pyramid. We're talking something very, very, much larger than the Great Pyramid. The top is older than the base. So how does that happen? And some people call it the upside down mountain. because that simply should not be. And you can look at it and you can kind of see where it's like, wow, that is unusual, because it even looks, I mean, you can tell by looking at it, there's something very, very unusual about it. So, but what I'm saying is everything is connected. And that mountain, I'll type the name, that mountain, and I'll see if you can tell me what is so strange about the name of this mountain. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you, because he wrote most if not all of his books were in French. Jules Verne used that name, Bucarac, in one of his books, and I forget which book it was. I'll find out real quick. Jules Verne, the one that wrote all of those books, all of those fascinating books. What was it? His books, Around the World in 80 Days. The seemingly unbelievable. Let's see. He wrote those, and Captain Bucarac. Okay, now that wouldn't really be that shocking if Jules Verne did not actually live near Bucarac, near Mount Bucarac, which is the mountain that the top half, again, is much older than the bottom. They call some people in the area call it the upside down mountain. Again. Now, with that keep that in mind, and then also keep in mind that from the little village that I've talked about, Rennes-le-Château in southwestern France, you can see Mount Bucarac from Rennes-le-Château, which I've said is a very, very important, powerful place where the two, or where alternate realities is probably the weakest, or it's probably the weakest place on Earth as far as the thinning of the veils. Like if you can imagine two soap bubbles as being realities. There are times when the area of Rennes-le-Château, Bucarac, which happened to be part of and within that 40 square mile pentacle that is marked by mountain peaks. That's why it was so important. That's why that there was such incredible work and amazing power, technology used to make it so, is because that's the greatest place on Earth where the alternate realities, if you can imagine them as two soap bubbles and pressing, they press into each other. So people that are there, they're experiencing this world in this reality, simultaneously experiencing an alternate, because the two are pressing into each other. They're, for I don't know how long, but I mean, for a time, they are one. They're occupying the same reality. And that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, when you think of it like that. And the reason that this happens, the reason that this place, this 40 square miles, is so sacred and so revered by, and has been by people from for hundreds, if not thousands of years, is for that very reason. Now, also keep in mind that this is a region that is part of and very close to Spain, northern Spain. Okay, now when you take into account that the Basque people that live there, that live very, very close to this sacred place, that they have a language. Again, language. You have to know the language. If you want to know the people, if you want to know truth, if you want to know the culture, you have to know and understand the language. Well, the Basque, their language is unlike any other language on planet Earth. Origins unknown. It is unlike any other language on planet Earth. No other people speak a language even similar or close to the Basque language. And when you take into account that the Basque people, they have the highest concentration of Rh negative blood in the world, there's something very, very strange, something going on there. And there have been people that have visited Rennes-le-Chateau, that have visited Bugarac, this area, and they have described having very, very vivid, very, very realistic dreams. Some good, some bad. Some horrifying, some terrifying. Some where they didn't want to leave the place. And many people, because they had such a pleasant, wonderful experience, they actually left. They actually moved there. And I mean, this is like rural. I mean, it is like way out. I mean, it would be a huge culture change, but yet they did it. They moved. There have been people that have moved from the United States to this seemingly this very distant place, this in the middle of nowhere, just very, very I don't know. There's no amenities or no bells and whistles, shall we say, but there's something about it that drew them there. It's been said that what you have in your heart is magnified there, and I believe that. It's the most magnetically powerful place on Earth. And they say that there's a lot of iron ore in the ground. But what's very interesting is that there is this has been proven. This is not speculation. It's not theory. That there is something very, very large, very, very massive that is constructed of iron, or it's composed of iron, or it is made of an iron alloy. And guess where it's located? Underneath Mount Bugarac. the upside down mountain. And ponder that. Also think about why that people moved there, were drawn there after they had been there and had dreams. Now remember, this is the place where where alternate realities, it's been said, and that's long been my theory, where they converge. And you what is in your heart, what you truly are in your heart, is magnified. It's strengthened, it's powered, it's empowered. So there have been some people that have gone there and they've gotten violently sick, ill, had to leave, and well, some of them, maybe their hearts weren't that, maybe they were just bad people with bad intentions, no conscience. But the people that live there, and I've seen some of them, one thing about them is none of them are rude, none of them are curt. They're all very, very welcoming. They're all very humble. They're all, you can just tell that they're filled with love. And all love and no judgment. And they, as different as they are, they accept each other and seemingly love each other. And so imagine being in a place like that with people who already have love, already have compassion, already have empathy in their hearts, and it's magnified. And then when they dream, they experience, I believe, that it's not dreaming there. I believe that, and here too sometimes, I believe that in some dreams, if not all dreams, that's what we're doing, is we are experiencing other alternate realities. But the main thing about this area is with the electromagnetic power, pull, being so extreme that it magnifies that. And these people that live there, they all seem to have a little, they all seem to be not quite telling the whole story. Not quite saying that when asked, it's certainly a mystery, isn't it? And they say, yes, it is. And they have this slight grin on their face, like they know what it is, but they're not going to say. Now, there is no doubt that the intelligence agencies of the world, I'm talking the German SS, they scoured that place, that entire area of southwestern France, northern Spain, looking for something. Not only that, but the Israeli government, their intelligence agency, has been there. United States, same thing. All the United Kingdom, Great Britain, MI6 or whatever. Yes, they're there. They've been there, searching, looking for what? Looking for something. What is it? Well, I can only theorize, but I believe that it would be something that would be transdimensional travel, aka the gate to the dream world, the gate to alternate realities, which is what I believe, which is why I believe that the language that is spoken in dreams is seemingly, well, it's always different. It's never the same language. It's never the same symbolism. And that's because it's the different realities, the different alternate universes, if you want to say that, the different timelines, and what is 4 plus 4 equals 8 here, 4 plus 4 there in another alternate, in an alternate reality. 4 plus 4 could equal 15. I mean, so the laws of physics that here in our dimension, in our reality, may not apply there. And then, so on. And so anyway, dreams, in short, my theory about dreams are that they are messages. They are messages given to us. As strange as it sounds, they're messages given to us by ourselves, because no one knows you better than you do. It's just that the kicker is the message is coming from you to you. It's just you in an alternate reality. And that's why that when you dream certain dreams, you may be fighting with someone, you may be arguing with someone may be talking to you, really trying to get your attention, but you can never see their face. The reason is because it's yourself. Call it your guardian angel. It's your higher self. It's your you. It's the evolved you. It's the, I guess you could say, the enlightened you in another alternate reality. And not just one, but it's been said that they're endless. Every possibility, everything that can happen is happening endlessly. Just boom, boom, boom. In this reality, you got up this morning, you made coffee, you drove to work a certain way. In the other, you got up, you made coffee, you didn't go to work. In the other, you didn't get up, you stayed in bed. In the other, you don't exist. So, very strange, but read about it. Read all the read the facts. Read the evidence that supports it, and you make up your own mind. But even Elon Musk says that there's 1 in a billion chance that we are living in base reality. What's base reality? The base. The original, the real world. He said that as far as it is his belief that we are living in one of many simulations. Yes. And when you look at it like that, it's like, wow. So when it says, talking about life, and how we will have to answer for what we've done, very much like a test. a test, an experiment, whatever you want to call it. So, and then in the Bible and in the spiritual text, it says, "It is written, it is written, it is written," and that's just repeated over and over and over. It is written. It is written. Well, what else is written? Code, computer code is written. So if it turns out that this is a simulation, I'm really not going to be surprised. I'm going to say, well, I thought it was. And but anyway, we're just about at 2 hours. But the good news that I want to share with you is after 8 months of working and focusing on the my goal that I had in mind, and it took 8 months, but I stayed the course, and I spent a lot of work and a lot of effort. But today, about 11 o'clock this morning, I received an email from Apple Podcasts, formerly known as iTunes, and they picked up the show. So, iHeartRadio done, and today, iTunes, mission accomplished. Now, the show will reach an estimated 85 million people. That's how big iTunes audience is. And they said that in 2 to 3 days that the show will be listed in the iTunes store, and that there's a link now that you can go to. But in 2 to 3 days, thank you. They said that in 2 to 3 days that it would be listed, and yeah, and that was that made me feel very, very satisfied, because iTunes, they're very picky about Apple Podcasts now, they're very picky about who they accept, and they did say, or they do prefer that people have 100 plus listeners, and right now I've got 35, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to send it to them anyway. I'm not going to wait, and so I sent it to them, and they said that it would be 2 to 3 weeks before I knew anything, and it was 3 days, and so I feel very thankful for that, and fortunate, and thank you all for being a part and everything. But anyway, so yeah, things are definitely going into high drive now. 85 million people. I had no idea that, I knew that that iTunes was the largest podcast provider in the world, Apple Podcasts rather, but I had no idea that it was 85 million. And but anyway, on board now, so we'll certainly enjoy the ride. But anyway, if you want to reach me, you can contact me at the Texorcist podcast at gmail.com. And if you want to talk about show ideas, topics, whatever, and or if you want to share an experience, or you want to discuss a topic or something that's happened in your life and you want to share it on the podcast, contact me and we'll talk about it. It'd be great. Anyway, love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. I will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.